You're using right now, in this moment, at least a dozen inventions that completely rewired civilization. And you have no idea who made them. Not even close. Not a name, not a face, nothing. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. It's not because the inventors were boring. Some of them were cheated, some were ignored. One of them was a Hollywood actress. Another one was a funeral director who got paranoid about his phone calls. And every single one of them changed how the world works. This video is about the inventions history forgot to name drop. Not the flashy ones, not the stuff in every textbook. I'm talking about the quiet ones, the infrastructure ones. The inventions so woven into daily life that they became invisible, and the inventors got buried with them. By the end of this, you're gonna look at your phone, your bathroom, your groceries, and feel genuinely weird about all of them, in a good way. Let's start with something you use every single day without thinking about it. And I mean every single day. The most important toilet invention isn't the flush. Okay, we're starting in the bathroom. Because the history of civilization, real civilization, basically starts in the bathroom. Most people think the big toilet breakthrough was the flush. And sure, fine, flushing is cool. But flushing didn't actually make indoor toilets livable. You know what the problem was? The smell. Before 1775, if you put a toilet inside your house, you were essentially piping your house directly into the sewer system. No barrier, just open connection to everything underground. Yeah. Enter Alexander Cumming, a Scottish watchmaker, not even a plumber, a watchmaker who bent a pipe into an S shape. That's it. That's the invention. An Z-shaped pipe that traps water inside the curve. That pocket of water creates a permanent seal. Sewer gases can't come up. Your bathroom smells like your bathroom, not like the underworld. It became standard in every building on Earth. It's under your toilet right now. It's probably under every toilet you've ever used. And you've never heard Alexander Cumming's name once in your life. Toilet history is kind of culturally embarrassing, so we don't talk about it. And because we don't talk about it, the people who fix toilet history don't get credit. That's the pattern we're gonna keep seeing. Stay with me. The invention that made books cheap, but didn't make its inventor rich. Here's a question. Why are books cheap? Like, historically speaking, books were luxury items. Hand-copied, expensive, reserved for the wealthy. Even after Gutenberg's printing press, the paper was still handmade. One sheet at a time, by hand, slow. In 1798, a French guy named Louis Nicolas Robert changed that. He designed a machine, a continuous paper-making machine, that instead of producing individual sheets, produced endless rolling sheets. Feed in pulp on one end, get paper out the other, non-stop. This enabled cheap newspapers. Mass publishing, books that regular people could afford. Education at scale. Basically, the information age starts here. Now here's where it gets sad. Robert lost control of his own patent. English investors commercialized it. The machine got rebranded under different names by different people, and Louis Nicolas Robert, the guy who built the thing, died broke and forgotten. The financiers got the credit. The inventor got nothing. This is also going to be a pattern. Before software, there was silk. Okay, real quick, when do you think computer programming was invented? Like, conceptually. The idea of giving a machine instructions it can run, swap out, and repeat. Most people would say mid-20th century, Turing, ENIAC, the 1940s, 1950s. It was 1801. A French weaver named Joseph-Marie Jacquard built a loom controlled by punched cards. Each card had holes in it. Hole meant yes. No hole meant no. The machine read the card and wove the pattern accordingly. Swap the card, get a different pattern instantly. That's reusable code. That's interchangeable program logic. That's software on a loom in 1801, making silk. This system directly inspired the punch card computing systems that came a century later. Jacquard's loom is the great-great-grandfather of every program ever written, and it's taught, when it's taught at all, as a pre-computer curiosity. A footnote in textile history. A footnote. Okay, I want to pause for a second. Because I realize we're 3 inventions in and you might be thinking, cool, old stuff, sure. But here's what I actually want you to notice. Every single inventor so far got erased by the same forces. Cultural taboo, financial power, or just the invisibility of infrastructure. The more essential something becomes, the less we think about where it came from. And it gets weirder from here, because the next story involves a paranoid undertaker who accidentally automated an entire global industry out of spite. The undertaker who automated the telephone. Almond Strowger was a funeral director in Kansas City in the 1880s, and legend has it, he became convinced that telephone operators were redirecting his business calls to a rival funeral home. Now, was this true? Maybe. Probably not entirely. But Strowger was sure of it. So instead of, complaining, he invented an electromechanical switch that connected phone calls automatically, with no human operator required. He didn't just fix his problem, he replaced an entire profession. The Strowger Switch converted dial pulses into mechanical motion and routed calls directly. No operator picking up, deciding where to send it, potentially having a personal opinion about your funeral home. This system ran global telephone networks for decades. So the next time someone talks about disruption in tech, just know that the original disruptor was a funeral director who didn't trust a phone lady. It started as lines drawn in the sand. Norman Woodland and Bernard Silver, two grad students, 1948. A grocery store executive asked a university if they could develop a way to automatically read product information at checkout. Silver overheard it. He and Woodland took it on. Woodland's breakthrough moment. He was sitting on a beach, literally dragging his fingers through the sand, thinking about Morse code, dots and dashes. And he thought, what if instead of dots and dashes, we used thick lines and thin lines? He drew the first barcode in the sand. They patented it in 1952. The first real commercial scan happened in 1974, a pack of Wrigley's chewing gum in an Ohio supermarket. Without that moment, no instant checkout, no real-time inventory, no Amazon logistics, no modern retail supply chain. The global economy runs in part on an idea a guy had while sitting on a beach doodling. And the guy who had the idea, swallowed by the standards committees and corporations who rolled it out, completely invisible. A metal box changed what far away costs. I want you to think about globalization for a second. Cheap stuff from across the world. Fast shipping. The fact that an iPhone has parts from 40 countries. The fact that you can order something from the other side of the planet and get it in a week. All of it, traces back to a metal box. Before Malcolm Klein standardized the shipping container in 1956, cargo ships were loaded by hand. Workers called longshoremen would physically carry goods on and off ships, one item at a time. It was slow. It was expensive. It was the bottleneck of global trade. McLean, a trucking entrepreneur, realized that if you could design a standardized box with stackable corners, twist-lock connections, and crane-compatible dimensions, you could automate all of it. The result, container ships move roughly 90% of global trade cargo by the late 20th century. Research shows container adoption increased trade by multiples, not percentages. Multiples. A metal box. Change what far away costs. Rextal Myvid Crudit, his chief engineer, Keith Tantlinger, who actually designed the twist-lock system, almost none. Infrastructure is invisible, and the people who build infrastructure become invisible with it. The Hollywood star who helped invent Wi-Fi. Okay, last one, and I saved this one specifically because it's the most absurd in the best possible way. Hedy Lamarr was one of the biggest Hollywood stars of the 1940s. MLM contract, magazine covers, the whole thing. She was also, in her spare time, inventing the foundational technology behind Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPs. No big deal. During World War I, Lamarr, along with composer George Antheil, developed a technique called frequency hopping spread spectrum. The idea, instead of transmitting on one fixed radio frequency, a signal rapidly hops between multiple frequencies in a synchronized pattern. Why does that matter? Because it makes the signal almost impossible to jam or intercept. Enemies can't block what they can't lock onto. They patented it in 1942 and offered it to the US Navy. The Navy said no. Something along the lines of, "Thank you, actress lady." The patent expired. The technology got redeveloped decades later. It became the backbone of modern wireless communication. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, SHPAPs, secure military communication. All of it built on the principles she invented. Lamarr was finally recognized with an honorary award in 1997. She was 82 years old. She reportedly said, and this is almost too perfect, "It's about time." Yeah, it really was. Here's what I keep coming back to after going down this rabbit hole. None of these inventions are obscure because they failed. They're obscure because they work too well. They became so essential, so woven into how the world operates, that we stopped seeing them. The strap became plumbing. The barcode became commerce. The shipping container became globalization. Frequency hopping became wireless. The invention disappears into the infrastructure, and the inventor disappears with it. And there's something almost philosophical about that. The most important things in the world are often the things we never think about. We only notice them when they break. Which is maybe a lesson about more than just inventors. Alright, that's the list. A watchmaker who fixed your bathroom. A beach doodler who automated checkout. A funeral director who didn't trust phone operators. A movie star who the Navy ignored. History is weird, man. If this hit different than you expected, drop a comment with the one that surprised you most. I'm genuinely curious which one lands. My money's on The Undertaker, but Hedy Lamarr has been causing arguments in my replies for weeks. Subscribe if you're new. I drop videos on the stuff history glossed over, and I'll see you in the next one.